So as a B2B coach or consultant wanting to gain premium clients, these are my top priorities for building out thought leadership for inbound authority. Perhaps you're tired of posting content that gets likes but no leads, or settings that get ignored. I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it and how you can start getting inbound leads from LinkedIn without chasing anybody. I put together a free inbound authority checklist that lays out the exact steps that I teach clients to turn their content into leads and DMs into book calls. So stick around and I'll show you how to get it. So one of my clients, an executive coach, went from struggling to get any clients for social and LinkedIn at all to booking a six-figure sales call just this week in about 4 months. And she didn't have to do any cold DMs at all. Now, the biggest frustration that coaches and consultants online have is that they know they have valuable expertise, but they have no idea how to turn that into a predictable system for getting clients. And so what they do is what everybody tells them to do, which is post consistently and hope they get the right people to notice them. Engage on other people's content, which is a good thing. It takes hours trying to stay visible. Or to send cold DMs, hoping that someone replies. It feels awkward, they get ignored, and after all that work, still no reliable leads. Because content alone doesn't get clients. People don't buy just because you post it. They buy because they trust you. And if you're posting without positioning yourself as an authority or having a system that turns engagement into conversation, you'll be stuck in content limbo, getting views but no clients. But if you use the right process, you can turn your content into a client-generating machine without relying on cold outreach or constant posting. So here's how. So first of all, the main problem is unclear messaging. There's no real product market offer fit. And so what people do is they just post more random content. And that results in a lack of results and nothing really happening. But what we really want to be doing is having a clear ICP, clear offer, and clear messaging. And that way it means when you post, real demand is created, and that's where the results and ROI comes from. So the 6 steps. The first one is to get clear on your offer and your messaging and your ICP, your ideal client profile. So the first step here is to hypothesize who is your ICP. Now, even for established businesses that often don't have a good understanding of who their ICP is, and still need to go through this exercise of understanding who their ideal client profile is and understanding their messaging. So if you have current clients, start there. That's obviously the best thing to do, and start by interviewing them. Now, if you don't have current clients, then an offer discovery campaign is the thing to do. So ICP discovery rather, campaign is the thing to do. One of the great things you can do is if you're having sales calls is record those sales calls, and certainly whatever interviews you do have, record those sales calls, because that's going to be a treasure trove of information. This is where ChatGPT and other AI LLMs come in really handy because they're excellent at processing unstructured data. So write up case studies of work that you have done, either in your past employment, if you're a new coach or consultant, or from your pre-existing clients that would support some of the messaging that you've just learned from your clients. And here we've performed a hypothesis, thinking like a scientist here, forming a product market offer message hypothesis. And from there, step 2, we can map out your messaging and content pillars. This is your first iteration of this, and this will go through several iterations, but you'll have 3, 4, 5 content pillars that will come out of that. And then we start to populate that again, first iteration into your profile on LinkedIn and any other profiles, social profiles that you have. And then begin to test this with your audience in step 2, which is all about a consistent content engine. So in this one, if you're a larger firm, choose your thought leader. Usually, if you're solo, this will be you, of course. And if you're a larger firm, then it's the subject matter expert, usually the founder, if a boutique firm. And then install the content system. If you're a larger firm, maybe 2 to 10 people, you've got a handful of consultants working for you, then you may go through the approach where you have someone interview you for an hour, say every 2 weeks, to get that content. And you can break those lessons down, key lessons, client wins, common mistakes, industry insights down, and be repurposed into video, but also content, and then worked up into image posts and infographics and carousels and things like this. Or you could host a weekly live session, which could be an interview or a live or something like this where you record and you can discuss, again, thought leadership items relating to your market, and this can form the basis of your content plan. It also forms the basis of long-form content that can be chopped down into LinkedIn posts, but equally you could use it for a long-form like YouTube footage as well. And so you create a weekly cadence of ideation, and then route 3 is if you're just doing it yourself. Most people, what my clients do is they create a weekly cadence of ideation, drafting their content, and editing and posting. Usually it's good to batch this work, and about 5 hours a week if you're posting 5 to 7 days per week. Next thing we want to do is to start to analyze what works and double down. So you start to look at your statistics and seeing what content works, what's getting engagement, although engagement can be vanity metrics. Start to consider, is this getting you leads, inbound leads, and start to assess this. Is it bringing in the right type of follower? Is it in your ideal client profile? Is it the ideal avatar? And then start to repurpose what's working into other content forms. So repurpose it into future content, say for LinkedIn on the feed, but also repurpose it for newsletters as well. And then start to expand that content into long form content. It could be YouTube if that's appropriate for you and you're ready for the step up in content creation there, but also repurpose into content for blogs. So if you're more have an established website for SEO and search engine marketing purposes, starting to expand that content into long form is an ideal use case for expanding your content. Once we've done that, we want to start to set up your conversion mechanisms. This is all about creating your sales assets. So this starts to look like landing pages and video sales letters, or even webinars if you're in that market, where you can direct people that they can find out about what you do and self-select into your offers. The other places you can push people is into communities and groups and live events, or which could be online, they could be in person, online or offline. These are all excellent places, but if you're running these on a monthly basis, you can push people and into those areas, and they are middle of the funnel. These are what we call your conversion events, equally as is a sales call. And we start to scale all of this operation. So now you've got an offer that's working. You're starting to double down on content that works, creating newsletters, maybe doing YouTube, and you're directing people to these conversion mechanisms where people can opt in for a deeper relationship with whatever you're offering. We can scale this up then with remote appointment setters. So at this point, you would be starting to install remote SDRs or appointment setters who can engage and manage the direct messages for you and start to move to warm outbound. So warm outbound, you've got lots of content on the feed. By now your follower count and connections should be growing, and you can start to reach out to these people and invite them to events or invite them to your group, or generally have a check-in conversation that offers some more direct value. And there's a direct messaging framework that goes with this. It's quite an art and it's a science in and of itself to some extent, but this is where you want to move at the second to last phase. And once we get to the last phase, which is all about amplifying everything that's starting to work. And then now we're on LinkedIn is what we're talking about here, and we want to start amplifying through advertising your content. If you've got a budget for ads, and I recommend a minimum budget of about $30 a day on LinkedIn, that will get you started with some excellent LinkedIn advertising. And in particular, this has been made possible for what's working really well at the moment, which is thought leader ads. So we take that content that's now working on the feed, your messaging is starting to be dialed in, and we want to amplify that content with advertising, and we want to push those messages through, because with the targeting that's made possible through LinkedIn, and push that content to those particular ideal client profiles that we've analyzed earlier. We have a cold layer, which is introducing your message to people who've never heard of you before. We've got a warm layer, that's where we're targeting people who've interacted with your profiles, with your pages, or with advertised messages in the cold layer. They become your warm layer. And then you've got offer ads that you would do to your hot layer. So these people who have perhaps gone to your sales page but not actually booked a call, for example. And the primary tool for all of this, like I said, is thought leader ads. They work very, very well, and they're very cost effective as regard to other ads on the platform. So this is what I would do, and this is what I recommend my B2B coaches and clients do. We want to have this full campaign set up. I think it's about 6 months if you're starting from cold. You can really get yourself into a great position with, now because this flips the traditional post and pray strategy into a real system. You're now attracting leads instead of chasing them. You're warming up your audience before selling, and you turn the direct messages into sales calls without feeling salesy. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start getting into real outbound leads, grab my free inbound authority checklist, and I'll show you how to create content that gets messaging you, the DM warm-up script that turns conversations into calls, and a 3-part sales framework that will help you close deals without pressure. So drop inbound in the comments and DM me inbound, and I will send it over.